Now that everything is done with the collision exclusion, we're going to move on to the manipulation director, which is going to control all of our movements. Let's get rid of the bounding volumes there and go to manipulation, manage manipulation director. And the first thing we're going to deal with is the poses. Now these are the waypoints that the UR will go to, and we're just going to worry about a pick and place in this case. So we're going to have a pick location. We're going to move to a place directly above the place location, and then to the place location itself. So to find out where the UR will actually be picking up from, we need our conveyed object to get to its final point. Now, if you don't already have numbers that you're working with for a specific project, keep in mind that whatever distance you move this will need to be some multiple of the advancing motion that is done by the conveyor. So for example, we're going to use 300 millimeters as our index for each index motion for the conveyor. So this item is going to result some distance, a multiple of 300 millimeters down the line. For this example, we're going to index it 4 times, moving us a total of 1200 millimeters, placing us at 500, since right now we are moving back towards 0 with these axes. Alright, so now we actually want to move our robot into place, enable the dragger, click play, and we want to move our robot right about where it's going to want to be. Again, I'm not trying to get this perfect, just want to get the general area so I can show you. Looks like it's a little crooked there. Oops. Right now I'm just editing the joint. I'm trying to get a flat surface, the tool flange completely flat against the table or conveying the conveyor. Oops, wrong way. Alright, tool flange is centered now. Let's get off the joint movements. Alright, so we'll say the robot has some sort of gripper on it or vacuum cup or whatever, and say that this is where it's going to pick the part up from. So we're going to go to this plus down there. I apologize if there's a watermark on. So now it pops up. We're going to name our new pose. We're going to name this pick. And now we want to move this to wherever it will be getting place. Whoops, there's one of our collisions right there. Move this up and away here. Normally that wouldn't happen if we actually had the part picked up. So we're going to say that this is our spot above the place. I'm going to add, call this above place. and finally move this down to where it'll be placing. To be more precise, if you want to actually put the part where it's going to be placed, move the robot to where it needs to be, or you can attach it as a tool, the actual part itself is a tool, and move it to where it needs to be with the UR. I'm not going to cover that in this tutorial. That should have been covered in training. If not, I'll release a later tutorial with how to do so. So we're going to make this our place. And now we have all our waypoints for the robot. Now that we've taken care of all the poses, we're going to want to edit the stage directions. These are going to control the actual movement of the conveyor itself, as well as the attachments, such as the part attaching to the conveyor, in this case for the part attaching to the UR, in order for the UR to pick it up and move it. But the first thing I'm going to do is go and move. Oh, let's stop that simulation. Go and move this part back to its original position. And right now I'm just putting the linear rail has since it is a movement item, you can go in and move this slide just like you would for the UR joint positions. And this moves the shuttle there. I'm just going to set that back at 0. So right now, one thing you're going to want to do is go into the simulations tab and set this as a set state as home. And what this will do is, if anything moves from this point out, and you want to put it back to where it started, then all you need to do is go and click reset state to home, and it's going to move everything back to that very start position. This will save you some time, and if you accidentally move something where you don't want it and forget what numbers it was at, that's going to save you a good bit. Now we want to go into the manipulation director, go to our directions tab. From here, to set the actual conveyor motion, we're going to use this joint frame sequence. Our roll will be the T3D linear rail. We're going to add one to this, and we can set absolute movements or we can set relative movements. The absolute will be you want to move the shuttle to 300, and then you set another move to move it to 600, set another move to move it to 900. Depending on what you're wanting to do, you can do that. In this case, I like to use the relative move, and what this will do is every time we call up the stage direction, it will just advance it 300 millimeters from its current position. So it saves us from having to make multiple directions there. Now we're going to rename this direction to, let's see, to conveyor index. Next, underneath the motion directions, we're going to want to set up the robot's path. We're going to do this by going to waypoint sequence. Our roll is going to be the UR10. We're going to leave the motion constraint as this and the set as this. What we're going to do is go to our poses, and from here we're going to just drag to our box, and this is going to create our set of waypoints. So we're going to want to go to the pick position first in case it's not already there. Next, move to above place, and then lastly move to the place position. We're going to go back. We're going to rename this direction object place. Next, what we're going to want to do is do our actual attachment directions. What these are going to do are actually attach our item here to the rail to get the conveying motion and to the UR itself. So our roll is going to be adapter plate center, and it will remain attached. We're going to select the T3D, and we're going to select T3D-1, which is the shuttle itself. We're attaching it to the shuttle. We're going to rename this attach to conveyor. And we got to do one more attach to the robot. We're going to attach to wrist 3, that's the end right there. Name this attached DUR. Lastly, we're going to run a detach direction, and with this, you still use the attach to direction even though it says attach, still the adapter plate center. And we're going to go back to that drop down box that we haven't touched yet and go select detach, and that'll just detach it from everything. Rename that detach. And tell you what, let's actually do one more waypoint sequence where we run the UR here back to the pick point. So in this, we're assuming that it's at the place point right now. We're going to go back to above the place point and then move to the pick point. We're going to name this move to pick. Okay.